G'day champions, you know what it is, you know what's wrong, let's fix it. So I plug this thing into Windows finds it, it inputs and outputs audio, no problem. Looking around online, it's quite common for these LCDs to fail, so let's repair it. I got in touch with a local distributor for Apogee and they sent me out a screen, which was quite good. Sometimes the local distributors can be a little bit shy with sending you components unless you're a authorized tech. Don't go trusting Amazon or eBay for any of this kind of stuff. There's a few that allegedly are compatible, but I'm not taking that risk. I sent them the serial number and a couple of photos of the unit, and they were quite happy to send me the actual part. And being the distributor, you can be pretty confident that it's the genuine componentry. Alright, so all that packaging for this tiny little thing, but that's good because it's delicate. There she is. It's got a little screen protector on there and some foam on the back, which is supposed to be there, so that's not part of the packaging. So first thing we'll have to do is remove the top knob. I found the easiest way to do that is with 2 spoons. The thinner they are, the better. Just get them down inside. You can lever up that thing off the casing, just trying not to force anything. And there we go. So now we've got a nut, which is finger tight. Normally you'd need a tube socket to remove that, but anyway, just placed a bit of masking tape over there because the customer's got a company sticker there. But you've got 4 screws under this rubber. 1, 2, and then 2 more on the corresponding positions on the other side. Number 1 Phillips. And the back comes off. It's not connected to anything internally, but it holds the circuit board in place. So when you remove the circuit board, do it gently. You've still got a jack, the headphone jack there passing through, so you've got to remove that, but there's also a little mini cable holding on. Be careful not to damage that. So on the front casing side, there's a little beige catch. Just get your fingernail under it and it lifts up by about, say, millimetre. When you've lifted that up, now it's not holding the cable anymore. The cable should just slip out like that. Now be aware of electrostatic discharge when handling electronics like this, particularly digital electronics. This is a static dissipative mat, which I'm touching. If it's a particularly dry day and there's a lot of static flying around and I touch this mat, my hand discharges to it because this is connected to the ground on the mains earth there. So work on one of them if you can. If not, the next best thing's like a bit of foil, like the kitchen sink. Just keep it away from moisture, obviously. Anything that's earthed. So back to the front case here, we've got a pressed metal plate that's holding in the screen assembly, and it's attached to a secondary board here. So that's held in place by these 6 screws. Again, number 1 Phillips. Just be cognizant of what screws go where. As you disassemble it, it's good to have like a little tackle box or something that you can separate each type of screw and work your way through it sequentially as you undid it, and then work your way backwards as you retrieve the screws for reassembly. Alright, now just lift this out, make sure the screen's not sticking to it. And there's our screen assembly. Now the screen and the little daughter board it's got there, they lift out. There's no adhesive on the screen or anything. Now there's a little sort of black flap at the back of that connector. Get your fingernail up under it. That sort of levers up like a little lever, you can see there. And then that releases the cable. So grab the new screen. Make sure there's no protective plastic on the tracks there, because obviously that will be a problem. Just feed it in. There's still probably a millimetre of that white showing, and press the lever back down. Now on this particular screen there is a protective piece there. We'll peel that off. The last thing you do before putting it back in. We can see there the texture's the same as the old screen there. It's got like a non-reflective coating on it. So we'll just clear any dust out. Compressed air is your friend if you got it. Gently place the new screen in there. Align its extents with the little moulding guides there, and they'll want to pop up with the new cable because it hasn't been sitting there for years. Just get the corners against so it sits up, but will flop back down again, and gently position the plate above, and that will apply the pressure to hold them down. But just make sure you don't accidentally get it on those little corner ridges there, because you could crack the screen. Just if anything isn't going home, don't force it. Just reassess, take it back apart, figure out what's in the way, and address it then. If you force stuff, you're just going to break stuff, and then you have to order another screen. So we'll pop the screws back in. No more torque required than like 3 fingers. Don't go grabbing it like this and over tightening things, because things will break. Alright, so we're ready to place the board back in there. So in this case it's pretty obvious which way it goes because you've got the encoder there. But in general, with these kind of connectors, which are found on more and more consumer equipment, the contacts are on this side of the connector. So just be aware when you plug the ribbon in, there's the contacts there. The other side's blue. That's like a thickened piece of plastic to stiffen it up a bit so you can get it in there without it buckling over. So just align the contacts on the ribbon with the contacts on the connector. To insert it, you have to pull that little beige clip out again to allow the cable in. Be able to send that connector home, and then press down the little beige connector. It is fiddly, but again, we've got to get that jack back through its hole, and then it can go home. Alright, we're ready to put the back casing on. So just align it so the logos go the same way, pointing towards the top of the unit. Just make sure everything wants to go home happily and nothing needs any forcing. Everything should just sit with 0 force back where it wants to be. We'll start putting the screws back in. We'll start with just 2 screws, and then we'll test the unit before we can put the rotary encoder knob back on. Just make sure that we've connected everything properly, and if there's anything wrong, we don't have to disassemble the whole thing again just to test it. Alright, we're plugged in a laptop here, and we have a screen. We had nothing there at all before. Chances are it's the backlight that went in this one, but being such a tiny assembly, it's all you know, you got to replace the unit as a whole. You can see there in a bit greater detail there. So the rotary encoder is working. I haven't got drivers installed for this or anything, but it was functioning as plug and play with Windows, inputting and outputting audio. So alright, so we'll continue the reassembly. Reinstall that nut there. This time we'll just give it a gentle torque up with a tube socket, 11mm. Should never need more than just using the grip of the socket itself when you're on a plastic housing, otherwise you'll crack things. Put the other 2 screws in, push the rubber back down, and the adhesive re-engages with it. Just give it a bit of a clean. A little bit of dust collecting in that recess for the rotary encoder knob. I'll just give it a quick clean on the front panel too. It came in a bit grubby, but I like to send stuff out nice and clean. See there, it's got that flat spot on the shaft there, so it's got a corresponding flat spot in the inside of the knob there, so just align them and send her on home. Ensure the push button still works, and ensure that it rotates freely. So there you go, legends. I'll send the old screen back. I always send the old parts back to the customer just for their peace of mind. I found a couple of videos of this on YouTube, but I didn't like them. They're either too long and faffing about and more involved with their own personality than the actual job at hand, or they just went for like 30 minutes for what should have been a 5-minute job. So there you go. If you can get your hands on a screen, I hope that helps you.